Paint Dance Live. Hi, Paint Dance Live. Annamarie, she couldn't agree more. So many calm signals and actors. Please tell her more about the Rosewater dessert name Christ Jesus told you about. Well, I was at my kitchen table one night, like at 1 o'clock in the morning, and I invited the Lord Jesus Christ to come and have communion with me. And I was very strong in the presence of the Lord. I felt his presence very strong. So I had put on this scarf. He had told me to go get this scarf out of my closet. And he said, let this be your prayer shawl. I said, okay, Lord. And it's got the fringe on it. And I dedicated this to him. I had this scarf for years, but he had told me to go get it. And I was really hearing his voice very strong. And I was meeting him at the table almost, oh my gosh, almost every night. And the house is very quiet. And he said, he told me to put this on. And I did. And he told me to lay my head down on the table. And so I did. And I said, Lord, what do you want to speak to me? What do you want to say to me? And I'm thinking, I've been praying for my child and was waiting for this very profound thing that he wanted to tell me. And I was worshiping Jesus and praying. And I was reaching my hand out to him. I felt his presence in the chair next to me. And I was just, and this prayer shawl, it's supposed to be like a tent, right? Where you go into your tent, into your tabernacle, and get into the presence of the Lord. So I was doing that. And all of a sudden, this powerful vision is coming in front of me. And I see this dessert. And I was in my kitchen. I had just taken communion, but I wasn't hungry. I was full with the Lord. And this vision starts coming at me, and it's this dessert, and it's in this beautiful, crystal, gorgeous dessert cup. And it's coming closer and closer and closer to me, and it looks like this creamy white custard. And I'm looking, and all of a sudden there's like this strawberry or berry syrup being drizzled on it, and then I see like these nuts and fruits and pistachios and dates and being crumbled on top of it. And it's coming to me closer and closer and closer. And I mean, the vision was so powerful. I couldn't, thinking, I'm not hungry. Why? I'm like, Lord, what is this? He said, Annamarie, it's my favorite dessert. I'm like, Lord, your favorite dessert? You see, does he want to tell us these really profound, important things, prophetically? Of course he does. But what Jesus really wants is he wants friendship with us. He wants fellowship with us. He wants us to share our secrets with each other and talk and have fellowship at the table. And I see this dessert and I'm like, what is that, Lord? And it's like in front of me and in this beautiful glass crystal cup, and it's got this white, beautiful, creamy white custard and layered with this like red berry syrup and all of these pistachios and dates and, just crumbled on top. And it looked so beautiful and delicious and pleasing. And I said, it's your favorite dessert? He's like, yes. He said his mother made it for him. It's like, your mother made you this dessert? I'm thinking that was 2,000 years ago. And that was it. And so I got up from the table and I thanked Jesus. And I was like, I was compelled by the Holy Spirit so strong to go and research this dessert. So I got my computer. I went back into my bedroom. I got my computer and I started researching popular desserts in Israel that go back, I think what I wrote popular desserts in ancient Israel, or popular desserts in ancient Israel. I just typed that in. And this dessert comes up, pictures of it, looked exactly like what he showed me, called Malabi. Malabi. I thought that was kind of strange. David, if you want to put a picture of it, you can. He's got a picture of it. It's called Malabi, and it's spelled Malabi. That's exactly what it looked like, but it was in a really more pretty, like stemmed glass when I saw it. Look at that with the roses. Oh my goodness. So I looked up the recipe for Malabi, and this Malabi is made with milk, honey, and has a secret ingredient. It's a creamy custard made with whole fat milk, honey to sweeten it, and rose water. Rose water. They've been making this dessert in Israel for thousands and thousands and thousands of years. It's still so popular in Israel that they have little stands in Israel that you can go and get a cup of this Malabi. And it's served cold, it's served fresh, and they drizzle a syrup made out of pomegranates. So it's very, very Israeli. It's made with all of the things of the land of milk and honey. So it would be made with full fat milk, some kind of starch like cornstarch or any kind of starch. And then it's made into a custard. Then when you cool, you pour it into the glass and you mix honey for sweeteners. And then you pour into the glass and you let it cool. When it's cool, you make this syrup out of pomegranate. Then you pour the pomegranate syrup on that. You let that cool. And when you're ready to serve it, you sprinkle crushed dates, crushed coconut, shredded coconut, any kind of dried fruit. And then you serve it chilled. And the secret ingredient in the custard is rose water. And I'm like, rose water? Lord, you're the rose of Sharon. Now, when they say that Jesus is the rose of Sharon, it doesn't mean, thank you, David. Thank you. When they say that Jesus is the rose of Sharon, it doesn't mean like the rose of Sharon bushes like we see that grow everywhere. When they say that Jesus is the rose of Sharon, Sharon is still an area in Israel along near the sea that's known for its beautiful roses. It's like in America, we have like Pasadena, California. They just had the Rose Bowl parade. Pasadena, California is along the ocean. It's a coastal town. It's known for its beautiful roses. The most beautiful prized roses grow in Pasadena, California. The same thing in Israel. Israel is shaped very much like California. Its climate is much like California. So there was a coastal town since back in the days of Solomon called Sharon. And it was known for its most beautiful, fragrant roses. And the roses were pressed and steamed, and they made rose water. And the rose water was used to bathe in, to help your skin. But they also use it in ingredients in their desserts. And this Malabi, which is Israeli, using the rose water from the rose of Sharon, has been a favorite dessert in Israel for centuries. So Jesus' mother, Mary, would have made this dessert. And the fact that he showed it to me in that vision and it was his favorite. And now we're getting this confirming word that we're going to have the sweet for the bitter. And the fact that I only use products with rose water in them now. And it just reminds me of Jesus and his favorite dessert and that he's the rose of Sharon. And when you see beautiful roses, just know that's Jesus. He's showing himself to you. He's showing you his heart. And the recipe for Malabi, it's pretty easy to find online. You want the Israeli recipe. You want the recipe from Israel using the rose water. The rose water is very hard to find in America. You can find it in kosher specialty stores because Jewish people still make this a lot, this dessert. I had never heard of it before until Jesus showed it to me. And I've made it. And since then, I've made it. And it's wonderful. It's delicious. I've made it and chilled it and had it for Shabbat. It's very, very good. I made it from the Israeli recipe, and I had to go online for stores in Israel that sell the rose water and will ship it to America. So the rose water that I bought, I had to find in a kosher store in Israel that ships rose water and will ship to America. And I got a nice big bottle of it. I still have it. And it's just a teaspoon. You make your Malabi with the milk and the cornstarch and either the sugar or the honey. Get that all mixed in, and then you put a teaspoon of the rose water in. And it's just got this essence, just this light, beautiful fragrance and essence of roses. And it's absolutely beautiful. And then you pour it into your glass cups. You put it in a tray. You put it in your refrigerator. Let it completely cool. Then you make your syrup. Now you can make a raspberry syrup or a pomegranate syrup and get that nice and thick. And then let that cool off. And then you pour a layer of that on. You can even add a little rose water in your syrup. And sometimes it's served with little rose petals, because rose petals, you can actually take rose petals and wash them and dip them in sugar and let them dry on a paper towel. And you can put like the little sugared rose petals on top, because some roses, I think, here in the States, are organic and haven't been sprayed with any chemicals, and they're edible. You can actually eat. Roses are actually edible. And so you just get in the kitchen with Jesus and take this cherished, precious recipe and just make it with Jesus and just enjoy it and sit down with him and enjoy that with him. He says, I knock at the door, invite me in, and I will come in and want sup with you. And I found out that he loves dessert. And this is his favorite dessert. And it was so precious when he told me that. I needed a word for my daughter that night really bad. I had been praying and praying for her. And I needed a word from him so badly for my daughter. And he gave me that. And looking back, it's exactly what I needed at that time. It blessed my heart so much. And it made me remember what moms do, that Jesus cherished the special things that his mom made for him while he was on the earth. And it was his favorite things. And I know my daughter, even though she had gone prodigal and there was a painful time, that there were things even to this day that I make that she loves. And she's like, Mom, would you make that for me? Or Mom, would you make that for me? And things from her childhood. And so I realized he was giving me a word. I said, King Jesus, would you go to my daughter and remind her of the favorite things that I've made for her? That she does have cherished things in our relationship. And she'll be reminded of that. So if your children are prodigal and they're angry at you and they don't want to hear about Jesus or whatever, and maybe they're away, just say, King Jesus, I ask you to go to that child right now, wherever they are. Even if they don't want to listen to me right now, even if they don't want to hear about Jesus, that you would put that memory in their heart of the favorite dessert or the favorite meal or the favorite thing that they love that I made for them. And you would remind them of that. And it would touch their heart and heal their heart. And it'll remind them that their mom is good and their dad is good. And there are cherished memories. And there are things that they still love about us. And it will start to break down those stony places in their heart. See, they weren't running away from you. They were just running away from the Jesus that's in you. But he can go and get them and remind them of those beautiful, cherished memories that they have and give them remembrance of it. And he showed me how to pray that night with his favorite dessert that his mother made. That we're just to pray that simple prayer, and he will go and do it, and he will remind your child of the favorite things that you did together when they were younger and bring that memory back to them. And they'll look upon it with love. And they'll look upon it with love for their father or mother. And that will start to work on their hearts. And now, when I know my daughter's going to be coming over, because she's grown up now, she's 20, she's got a full-time job and a wonderful boyfriend, and she's coming back to Jesus, and she's caring about her appearance and her looks, and she's getting rid of all that dark stuff out of her life. And now when I know she's coming over, I make sure I have all her favorite meals ready. Her favorite desserts, her favorite. I have it all ready for her. So when she comes home, she knows there's this feeling of comfort, of good memories. She's not going to come in the door and get blasted in her face about all of the wrong stuff she's done. And she's going to smell. I remember she came in Christmas Eve, and I had made her favorite shrimp scampi with angel hair pasta. And I made it all with homemade, squeezed all the garlic, everything. And it came out so perfect. And I made sure I made it fresh. I said, what time are you going to be here? She's like, oh, I'll be there about 6:30. And I was like, okay, I'm going to have that garlic cooking, right when she's coming in the door. I said, Landry, I made your favorite with the shrimp scampi and angel hair pasta. And she's like, I know, Mom, I could smell it as soon as I came in the door. And it washes away all those painful things that you and your child have gone through. It's just, Jesus, he gave me a word that night. He did. And I treasure it. And I've made Malabi for her. And I told her it's a recipe Jesus gave me. I use it as a way to evangelize. She may be like, oh, first she was kind of like, but she tasted, she's like, oh, this is good. Maybe it's a way to talk about Jesus with your family. Did you know that Jesus' mom would have made this for him? Like, really? It makes Jesus real to them. Even The Chosen is doing that. I love it that The Chosen was doing that last weekend, or not this past weekend's episode of The Chosen, but the weekend before. They had Jesus sitting in his mother's kitchen, and he was smelling his mother's bread Like, I mean, imagine Jesus even having that feeling, he was fully human, fully man, fully God, but he would have had those smells coming into his mother's kitchen. And we've got to remember that. We've got to look at the heart and got to bring our children back into that. And he taught me so much that night, more than I even expected, because it's still the night he showed me that dessert and what he said that was his favorite dessert that his mom made him. And the rose water, and he's the rose, and he's the rose of Sharon. And since then, I see so many roses, and I see signs of roses when I know he's doing something and he's showing me his heart. And I really want to encourage you today, moms and dads, and even in your marriages, this is how we build back up our houses. And Jesus really did give me a word that night. He didn't just show me a dessert recipe. He showed me something that would change my entire household and heal a relationship with my daughter. He's good like that. I get very emotional because it's been quite a journey. And there's been pain, and there's been darkness, and there's been hard, but God, he's redeeming it all. And so sweetly. So he is. Wow. Sometimes I get on here to pray for folks. And sometimes I get on here and Jesus just wants to talk to us. And that should be the answer to our prayers when he talks to us. I pray that what he's saying to all of you today through me is an answer to your prayers today.